Hello, this is Warren from Mirror Distribution, and today we'll be taking a look at the latest camera from VIVOTEK, the 8000 series 8133. This model rounds off VIVOTEK's entry-level indoor range of cameras and replaces its 7000 series predecessor, the 7133, but with a whole host of notable improvements. This camera now supports Power over Ethernet or 802.3 AF, so you can use this camera with any standard PoE switch. You can of course power this camera using any standard 48 volt PoE injector, or you can power the camera off the rear of the unit via a 5 volt DC jack. So you do have a whole host of options in terms of powering up this camera in almost any installation. Another notable feature of the camera is that it now supports two-way audio. So it has a built-in microphone on the camera as well as a built-in speaker. Now you can hold a conversation with someone. It does support two-way audio. You can communicate with them via the web browser interface or via VIVOTEK's own vast recording software, or even via Milestone if you configure it to do so. The unit also has a built-in passive infrared sensor, very much like their indoor fixed dome camera from the 7000 series, the FD7132. This passive infrared sensor can be used to trigger the camera to start recording, can be used to trigger the camera to enable its new very bright white LED, which is great obviously for nighttime applications. The passive infrared sensor can also be integrated with the camera via its digital ins and outputs at the rear. So the passive infrared, should it detect motion, can start the camera recording, turn on the light, and close the digital output on the camera, which would then possibly be linked up to a siren or a relay or your alarm system even. So there's a whole host of things that you can do with the passive infrared sensor on this particular camera. It's all configured via the camera's web browser interface under the application section. So one of the additional improvements on this camera is its image quality and frame rate. So the previous model, the 7133, only supported 640 by 480 or standard VGA resolution. The new model is 1 megapixel or 1280 by 800. Of course, what makes this camera really great is that it runs at full resolution at 30 frames a second. So a lot of cameras out there, a lot of cheap IP cameras will offer you 1 megapixel resolution, but then the frame rate is something sad like 10 to 15 frames a second, if that. So it runs its full resolution at 30 frames a second, which is more than sufficient for most applications. This camera obviously comes with its own mounting brackets. In the box is included their own 32 channel free recording software, which VIVOTEK calls ST7501. The camera is of course OnViv compliant, which means it'll work with most other OnViv recording solutions. So it will work with their free recording software ST7501. It will work with VIVOTEK's high-end recording software, which is known as VAST. It'll work with Milestone, and ultimately it'll work with Mirror's own QNAP network video recorders. Right, thanks for watching.